Hey, welcome to the Spread Podcast. I am Hugh Reyes. Some people know me as Furman, but I'm here with someone that is amazing. This person, he could take your business and put it in the streets. And I'm gonna explain how that works. So I'm here with Dio Palencia. Dio, how's it going?
Very good, Fermin. How's everything?
Everything's great, man. And this podcast came about because I called you for some advice, which I do from time to time. And I'm like, hey, I have this client. They want to do this, and that. And I wanted to know, what your take was on the climate of community marketing, grassroots marketing, and if it was something that it was still doable. And I was so surprised to hear everything you were telling me about how much opportunities there if they're willing to wait and so on. But
Hmm.
let's start off with defining what this kind of niche marketing is, which is not it goes hand in hand with digital and all of that, but this is very uh, event. It's in the customer's client's face, right? So
Hmm.
can you define a little bit what's the difference between like digital marketing, grassroots marketing, all these other terms, community marketing, event marketing? Like, what is it? And is there one thing, or are there little niches within that niche?
The term grassroots marketing really it's a complement of everything. It's you're doing a little bit of guerrilla marketing, you're doing door to door, you're doing outreach, even in the digital format too as well. But it is really tailor to where your locations are. Like if you have 11 locations, you're marketing exactly where the people live around your neighborhoods instead of going into a more broader reach. So the marketing is really focused and short distance, and you saturate the market with your image, your brand, and the products. That way, people can come to your clinic, and you're constantly reminding them that you're there. So that's what I will say. What really grassroots marketing is.
Grassroots, but it's like it's a physical marketing, right? It's you're handing out actual flyers, papers. You're talking to potential customers or patients or whatever face to face, right? So that
Yeah. Yeah, and you do this in different formats. One will be at health fairs, resource fairs, festivals, any type of event that people come out and you have the opportunity to talk to them. The other one too is doing presentations. You go to, for example, if you're promoting clinics or pediatric services, you go to Head Starts. You present to a group of parents, PTAs, any type of group. If you're promoting adult services, you go to a student union at a university college, promote your services, present it in front of students. If you put an info table outside of a library where there's a high traffic, at a mall, you put an info table there. Or you pay a little bit of rent. Some malls that might charge you to do that, so you do that. So anything that you have in contact with the people, the more they see you in the community, the more they see the brand, you saturate them in their mind, and they get very familiar with the brand. So when the next time they're thinking about the services that you provide, you're going to be the first option. And the reality is that no one is doing that a lot right now because they think it's work. You have to be there in the field. And people have been very comfortable with doing digital marketing. And the reality is that everyone is doing it. So people are super saturated to the point that they choose what they're going to choose, what they're going to see it, or a lot of the stuff you send is going to be sent to either spam or sorted out, or they sometimes they don't even get it. So the best thing you can do is definitely do a combination of grassroots marketing with digital platform because it complements everything. There's certain people that you're going to find and market better in digital platforms and social media, and there's definitely people that you're going to be marketing better when you do the grassroots marketing and it's person to person.
wow, that's you just said something so huge with the fact that people are not well, companies are not doing it because it's work. It's not just putting some text online and hopefully people see it. You have to be at the events. You have to network. You
Mhm.
have to create relationships. You have to print materials. You have to be out in the sun. So what I'm taking from that, what you're saying is that there's an opportunity in that field for people that are willing to do the work to really stand out, right?
Yes, yes. And one of the good things about grassroots marketing too is that you can do it when if you choose traditional dates, like if you do Dia de las Madres or Cinco de Mayo, Thanksgiving, the holidays, when you do events around those events where people come out and celebrate, there's your target audience. And the other thing to take in consideration, grassroots marketing, you don't have traditional hours. It's not a job that is 8 to 5 because people are working. So you have to work after 5 on the weekends. That's when your market is, and that's where your clients are coming out, and that's when you have the opportunity. The other good thing too is markets like food markets where people go buy their food, especially Latino markets. They're packed on the weekends. It's a really good niche to go ahead there, have an info table, and I can say the same thing for other communities, for the Asian American community, for the Hindu American community. It's the same concept. That's when you get them, and it's a good spot to be marketing and promoting your products and services. Um, the other thing too is on the long run it is not as costly, once it's well planned and it's well marketed and you start seeing the clients, it's just you create more loyalty when the people see you in person and tangible. And there's so many examples. One of the things that always strikes me about grassroots marketing is like when I go visit family in Mexico, the most successful, for example, cell phone plans are the ones that are promoting with guys on the street doing grassroots marketing with signs, get this plan, this data. And normally plans, companies that do heavily promote on TV, yeah, they get some results, but it's amazing that these guys that are doing grassroots marketing get almost the same results, and sometimes in some markets even more. So there is a power and there's a benefit to it, but it needs to be well done, and it requires hard work. So it's not, you have to you willing to put the work.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's great information. And if companies or brands or people with products are listening to this, I think that's it's a lost art. I think also there's probably companies doing this kind of community marketing, but the competition is a lot lower than, for example, everybody now is a social media expert. Everyone, like every person that has a Facebook now is a social media expert. Everybody's selling those services. Everybody's selling Google ads. Everybody is doing the easy work, if we were to compare it. Um, and with this, there's the few companies that are out there. They're in demand because
Hmm.
there's not a lot of them, and that not a lot of them can actually set this up in the right way to
Hmm.
to be at the places and to have the relationships with the, for example, the market, the supermarket, to be able to speak to someone and let you put a little booth there, or start some kind of partnership. So how do you go about starting those partnerships to set up a booth somewhere, or how do you know if it's you need a permit, or does it matter, or how does that work?
Well, it's going to depend if you are a nonprofit or profit, or you're partnering with a nonprofit, because that's going to determine if there's a charge or there's no charge. Like if it's a community event, health fair, most likely there's no charge. And those ones are really large events, and it's something that you just need to register and have staff there to promote your services. And then there's festivals where obviously there's going to be a charge, and that is going to determine. My suggestion when in those cases is determine the budget that you have. If you have 10,000 budget, just be strategical. Which large events are going to help me promote without paying any money, and which ones make sense for me to pay. Just because you go to an event like Cinco de Mayo, 4th of July, or Turkey Trot, and you spend $2,000, that doesn't mean that there's going to be new services. You're better off if you go for, like, for example, Cardenas or La Regional or Ranch 99, and they let you put an info table for free. Or if you pay a little bit, you're going to get more clients. You're going to be able to talk to more. You're going to be able to get some names to make appointments, whatever the case is, or the services that you're providing, than going to a mass event where people, the goal is to have fun, have a little bit of drinks, dance, hear music. So it's very knowing your market and being involved. In what is going to help you with that is, like, if you are involved in the community and local collaborates, there's like Financial Health Week, there's a Safety Net collaborate. There's so many of them, and those ones give you an idea of which events are going to be free, which events are going to you're going to be paying, and then that will put you in a better position to determine, plan ahead. When you're fresh and you don't know, the first year you're experimenting, you're seeing, which events works, which ones don't. After the first year, then you're going to determine, this makes sense. Um, the other thing too is that, if you hire someone that is an expert, can guide you, it will pretty much advise you, this is the pros and cons of these events. This what it makes sense in the local market, and across the board in the U.S. or is the similarities are very similar. So once you get experience, you will know which markets, and you do a little bit of research to
That's
determine.
great. And then going into even the smaller spaces, like the ones you mentioned about the Latino grocery store, right? Where it's not necessarily an event, but there's a lot of traffic there. You get permission from the store,
Yeah.
or how does that work?
Yeah, you get permission from the store, and a lot of the stores, there's two routes to do it. One, they want to charge you, we'll charge you to have an info table, either outside or inside, or you can make it attractive to them. Hey, what about we do like blood pressure screenings, we do oral dental visual exams, we do cholesterol, any type of screening, or we'll do flu shots. So when you try to complement something that is going to benefit their clients, they're willing to do it for free. And they're very eager because they're promoting their businesses, and they're telling pretty much their clients, look, we're giving back to you guys. So it really depends on how you're going to structure that. And if you're going to structure that, then you need to be well connected. You need to participate in this collaborates, and that you need to work with them, and they need to get familiar with you, and then they're willing to support you and do mini events like this. This is what I call a mini event. It's not a large event, but you have like three info tables. You're one to promote your services, one to do some type of screening, or flu shots or COVID shots, and the other one is to have a little bit of information or register people for any type of health education workshops.
Okay. So and then you do those three at the same time, or is it like the pit like you pick one of those for that event, mini event?
Well, like I said, it's going to depend. If you want to do it solo, most likely you have to pay, unless the partner already knows you and is familiar with you. Then you will get it for free. The other thing is that if they don't know you, the only way you have to do it is to package it, and involve other clinics, either a public health department, a federal qualified health clinic, or anyone that is willing to support you. And in order to get those partners, you have to be involved in the community. If you go to their collaborate meetings, a lot of people might see it as a waste of time, but you're investing the time because you're supporting them in terms and advising them in the decisions that they make. So when you have an event, they're willing to put the resources and their staff to come and support your events. So it's you give a little bit, but they give you back. So the way I see it is an investment.
Wow. Okay. So it's a lot of work.
Yeah,
Everything
it
you
is.
said is from the actual work of being there, but also the pre-work of establishing these relationships. You probably are going to have to participate in some of their events if you decide to have partners, right? You're gonna have to
Right.
go to their things and support them, or let them be around your whatever you're doing. So it's kind of everyone trying to help each other as long as there's no conflict there. So that's a lot of work.
Mhm.
So can you tell us a little bit about a personal success story, like something that you say, in all of my years, which actually we haven't talked about your background, but that's on purpose because by the way, if you want to know, you're probably wondering like, who's this guy? Who he knows all this stuff. You're gonna have to contact him, and he'll tell you all this story because that's his sell. That's his selling point. Obviously, an expert on grassroots community marketing and all marketing. So, well, we'll get to that at the end. But so, like a success story where you like many years of experience that you went from zero and you took this client, this little brand, and now it's just out there. Like you don't have to mention names per se, but like a success story. And what were the steps you took?
Yeah. Well, there's so many of them. So I perhaps I can give you a couple. One was a friend of mine called me. He was opening a shop, and this is in Mexico. He's trying to sell cell phone plans, right? So I tell him, well, what are you doing? And he's saying, I hire an expert at social media. We're doing all these platforms, but I'm just not generating flow. And I'm in an ideal location and I just have no clients. And I tell him, well, that is great. Continue doing that. But are you doing any grassroots marketing? And first question he told me is, what is grassroots marketing? It's like, well, you have to be on the field. I did explain to him. So we created a plan for him to be with signs, local guys in the corners on major cross streets where people can see the location. And then we created a plan for them to start going to events. And then there was a few local churches. So we put info tables. So I created a plan for them to have info tables when people were coming out of mass. And there's something called the farmers market over there called tianguis. In Mexico, they're called tianguis. So we put about that. In 6 months, he starts seeing clients. Now he has 11 locations spread out and he keeps growing. And that's his strategy. He is not investing no longer money on television, radio. He continues to do social media. He's maintaining that. But the main meat of his product is pretty much the grassroots that he does on a daily basis. And he has become very successful and he has to strategize on how to do the marketing. The other one I can tell you is dental clinics. Have helped a lot of organizations grow from one clinic to there was one organization that grew almost to more than 100 dental clinics. And the moment they stopped doing grassroots marketing, the number of patients went down, and then they were closing, clinics to the point that they had to call me back. It's like, can we do that again? So grassroots marketing is really effective. So you have to know the main thing is your product, who consumes your product, your client, and where do your clients live? Are your clients people that live at homes of residency? Are your clients our corporate clients? Are they business? Because that makes a difference too. Um, The other one too is also we were doing for a nonprofit. This is another example. We were trying to implement health workshops in a corporate setting. So meaning that we will give the workshops, and then obviously we will get funding, to sponsorships. And they were struggling, and the reason is because they were doing just social media, LinkedIn, contacts, emails, and it's I'm like, no, you need to go meet the person, make an effort. So we start going to a lot of these events. We asked to have what is it? information and inviting us, and we can sample for free. And then they like it and they invite us. And now we have multiple sponsorships, that goes anywhere from 50 to 350,000. And we're seeing organizations that have multiple campuses and have multiple staff. And we're hitting a lot of the companies, not only in Silicon Valley here in the Bay Area, but also in parts like where they have campuses like in Guadalajara. They also have a large Silicon Valley there, and then in Texas. So and it's just through nonprofits. So I can give you examples of clinics, nonprofits, local businesses. So it's about grassroots marketing, and it takes time. One of the things that I'm really clear when I'm organizing a plan, you're not going to see results in less than a year. It takes time. If it's a nonprofit, it's going to take about 6 months. If it's a profit, it's going to take about a year. You have to be patient. You're
Wow.
investing.
So you have to be willing to go for that long
Yes.
run of a year.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. And once you do that, the reality is that you develop loyalty if you maintain everything, and you're going to have clients for a long time, long time. Um, the other thing too, I'm working right now with the supermarket, that um, the owner was saying, I have 9 locations. One of the concerns is that my clients suffer a lot from diabetes, cholesterol. What can I do? I'm afraid if I use other products, um, I'm going to lose my clients. And I tell them, well, no, if you do it culturally appropriate and you educate them and you start inviting social services, health services, other nonprofits, teaching them how to use the traditional products that they use to be healthy. And by that, having a healthy client, actually, they're going to live longer, and you're going to have a client. You're going to have a client for many years instead of still offering the same products. They're going to be unhealthy. Their span life is going to be less. And he did that. That was about 7 or 8 years ago, and he's really happy because now he has a lot of clients, and he has attract clients that are not Latino because of the products that he offers. So he's now competing with Whole Foods and other things because he's selling very not only Latino traditional products, but in a very healthy way. So the key here is knowing your market, knowing your status. If you're either a hybrid between nonprofit and profit, if you're profit, if you're government program. So all of that is going to determine how are you going to do your grassroots marketing, and also knowing if your clients are corporate or they're in a workplace or they're residential. That makes a difference. And how do you going to tailor your marketing, your grassroots marketing?
Makes absolute sense. And then going into a little bit of a budget, right? Because I think that that's the hardest question that
Yeah.
everybody has about how much should I spend? How much actually does it cost? Because I mean, they can ask you how much does it cost, but it's not a price like you go to Walmart and you see something like that's
Yeah.
$2.99. It's more about, well, what's your, well, I'll let you tell her like what's the cost of grassroots campaign, or what's the range, or what do you get for certain budgets?
Well, it's going to depend on the size of your um of your company and how big you are. One of the things that I recommend when people approach me, it's the first question I ask, and then say, "Well, it's only me, my wife, and my kids," and then the marketing campaign is going to be done by you guys because you don't have, you know, money to hire someone. And then you need to put aside anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000 a year, and then we can develop a plan. This is some of the things that you're going to need. This is what you're going to print, either coupons or flyers, whatever it is. So it really depends on the organization. So I couldn't tell you, this is the right budget because it's going to depend on the organization. So if it's a small organization or company, I will say anywhere from 5,000 to 20,000 on a yearly basis. And from that, then we can determine and plan, this is some of the options, some of the things that you can do. If it's, for example, a county that is doing a campaign on COVID immunizations, and they're struggling to get people because they're doing everything on social media, then the budget would be bigger. We could say, well, we need to hire people. We need anywhere from, a 250,000 to probably 500,000 or more. But in the long run, when you do the expenses of how much radio and TV you're spending on a monthly basis, you're going to be more productive. And so it really depends on the what type of program, what type of product, and how big the organization is. And that's the beauty of grassroots marketing. You can always make it fit according to their budget. Because a lot of people think they have to have a crazy budget. No, no, it's going to depend on your size, what type of market you are, and what makes sense to promote your business, service, program, or whatever you're offering.
Well, and something interesting that you say that, for example, you say anywhere from 5,000 to 20,000 per year. So you're actually letting people know that you can't just do like a month, because that's not going
No,
to work. You need that year. So
no.
giving them the budget for a year puts it in their minds that this is money you're committing for this year, so you can see results. So that's a great way to look at it. I think for people that are looking for these kind of services, that you have to put that money aside for that year. Maybe you don't have it at the time, but just know that's a commitment that you have to
Hmm.
make if you want results. Because also you don't want to quit 3 months in and now you lost that money that you already put for those 3 months, right?
Hmm.
So good. So thank you so much, man. This has been um, like like I'm listening, and everything makes sense. It's things that we know as common sense, but the way you're putting it is it's more of a like practical. Like, okay, you literally have to just do the work. You have to put your head down,
Yeah.
do the work. There's no magic pill. There's no you have to do the work, but the rewards of doing that actual work, the grassroots work, are are bigger than social media. If Google tells you, oh well, 50 people called your
Yeah.
business, um, but you have no appointments. So here you have a way of people seeing you. Oh, we saw them at this fair. Now they're over here. They're everywhere. Now I'm driving by and I'm seeing the place, and so you kind of start building that brand within the community that matters. Because if you're in LA and someone in Miami is looking at your ad or something, it doesn't matter. So
Yeah.
thank you, Diaz.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, and that's what I call saturation. You're saturating your brand in a good way, that you're creating that image and it's sticking to that and their mind, because they're seeing that image every place they go.
Absolutely, and I think that's important as well. I think Coca-Cola, and a lot of the big brands have figured this out years ago. Where, for example, in Mexico, I'm sure you know that they give the taco stands
Oh
Coca-Cola
yeah.
chairs and Coca-Cola signs and everything for free, because they're
Yeah.
really just using them as an advertising space.
Yeah. They're the kings of grassroots marketing. I mean, that's the bottom line. They do invest more on grassroots marketing than than social media and traditional media. Yes, they do, you know, pretty much advertising, but the reality is that the budget that they have for grassroots marketing is way much more bigger. And the example that you just gave in Mexico, it's clear. It's not only Coke, it's the beer companies, anyone that wants to sell anything. The soccer teams, that's what they do. They give a lot of free stuff. People see it as free stuff, but they're realizing that is they're helping promote that brand, and they're doing marketing for that. So
It's brilliant.
and,
It's absolutely it's a great way. I don't see it much implemented here, um,
mhm,
but it's a really brilliant way to imagine the taco stands. You give them your business's chairs or a
mhm,
canopy, and now they're glad to have that for free. But people are seeing your product there. They're like, oh, that's them. So man, this has been like really, really great. So now the good part. So how do people contact you in your company? Um, so they can, if they wanted to start something like this, and they're like, I maybe even hire you just for advice, just to go, hey,
Yeah.
how do they contact you?
Well, they can contact me to either call me or my phone. That's the best way to do it. And one of the things that I like to be really clear when I talk to people is I tell them I don't want to waste your time, and I don't want you to waste my time. This takes a commitment. You're either willing to invest, it is productive, it brings business, but it's a lot of work and it takes money. And the beauty of this, once it works, it's like a well oil machine. As long as you keep putting that oil, it's going to run itself, and it's really easy to maintain. The hard work it starts at the beginning. It's kind of like when you're um, harvesting. You put everything you put on the field work, and then when you harvest, that's the easy part. You're collecting all the fruits from the hard work that you did. So it's the same thing. The hardest thing is to kick off, and once everything is done, it's really easy to maintain. And then, as a matter of fact, your cost starts going down. I mean, you can maintain it. And then if your plan is to keep expanding, then you need to maintain that budget and increase it. Um, but in order to contact me, they can reach out to my phone, which is 408-307-6071. Or they can reach me via email. My personal email is dospolucas@gmail.com. And that would be the best way, to reach out to me.
Okay, absolutely. So hopefully let him know you saw him here, you heard him here, and I mean it's an amazing thing to have someone like him, like Dio here, to guide you through these things, because you don't want to waste a lot of money. There's a lot of money. You're gonna waste money printing flyers and posters. Now they're just sitting in your office or whatever it is. That you want to have a plan from the get go, and
Hmm.
you don't want to just start buying things that maybe you don't need, or not buying the right things. So this is someone that's going to be able to tell you exactly the things that you need based on the campaign you want. So thank you so much, Leah, for sharing your expertise here with the world. And I'm sure not just companies, but I'm sure even other marketers can watch this and kind of get ideas and see how this is I believe it's going to be a growing after pandemic. I think the pandemic stopped a lot of things, and
Hmm.
it's never really recovered in the grassroots level. People that know, they went back right to it. But I think there's a lot of space that people can take advantage of right now. And now that we're
Hmm.
back, sort of like normally, like on track, and
Yeah.
people are so. So thank you so
Yeah.
much.
No, no, no worries. And just to close this, one of the things that I have to say, grassroots marketing, just to give you an illustration, it's kind of like hanging out with your friends in person versus hanging out them virtually. There's something about being in person that makes it more unique, and it helps you so many levels. You relieve the stress, you're talking to them. Well, grassroots marketing is very similar. When the person get to know you, see you, you build a trust, because they have a face, so it's easy for them. So you are the main, a marketer. And the other thing too, what I tell when I go and talk to companies is that your employees are the first grassroots marketing. When people come and get your services, if they provide great services, they're going to recommend your business because of the service that they did. So grassroots marketing really starts with your staff and your employees, and you have to teach them to know the product, to be proud of what you're selling, and that good service is it's the first line of grassroots marketing when people are you know provided with great services. So definitely it is something that it works, and it leaves a bigger impact on your product than doing it virtually. It's just you don't have any tangible. We're human beings, And there's something about experiencing and seeing it in person and visualizing the product versus seeing it virtually. It's not the same experience.
Absolutely. Wow. That man, this is. I think that eventually, if people like this, it could be a part two where we go even deeper into even specific events, or like you were saying, just mini events are
Hmm.
one thing, and big events and fairs. And how do you stand out from the competition at these places, and attitudes of people that are working in these grassroots, that they represent your company. So obviously you want people that are um, they represent your company well. So thank you so much, Dio. So hopefully people contact you,
Yeah,
get good advice
yeah,
from you, and if they're willing to make that commitment, it's a commitment. And it,
yeah,
like you said, it doesn't have to be a lot of money, but it has to be long term commitment.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in long term, and also knowing the cycles of your business, very important. If you're in the health industry or serving children, you know that when they're out of school, that's when you're going to be the most busiest. So meaning, when you're going to be slow and when you need to do more grassroots marketing, when you need to do less. If it's the food industry, you know that every major party or celebration, people are going to come to your store and consume products. So that's when you need to do actually the less marketing when you don't have a lot of clients. So that's what grassroots marketing also works. It's knowing when are your peaks and when are your lows in the marketing and when you need to hit the market and the pavement more to promote your businesses. So in the peaks and the cycles for each business or program or nonprofit is going to be different because it's going to depend on what services or products that you offer, and that's going to determine the cycle and when are your busy season and when is your slow season.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Dio, and everybody. Also, you can follow us, Spreadability, everywhere on the social media. And this is a Spreadability podcast from Spread, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, talk to you soon.
All right.